All right, sixth graders, welcome back to part two of today. Sorry that it is two videos. Unfortunately, sometimes we are going to have to double up on videos for the weeks just because we have a lot of stuff that we still have to teach you. Okay. Um, Mr. Gittner and I thought that this could be a lesson that we could put these two together because they are very similar. The process is actually the exact same, except we just have a different formula. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at today, or looking at in this video, areas of triangles instead of areas of parallelograms. Notice that you do have areas of parallelograms on your screen right now. This is just some extra practice problems. If you would like to work through these before we move on and get the triangles, feel free to go ahead and just hit pause on this video. Work through those on your own or at your own speed, and then you can actually flip to the next slide or just press play, I guess, on this video and hit pause to check your answers and make sure you are doing those parallelogram problems right, okay? But completely optional. If you want to do that, great. If not, feel free to just keep on moving on, okay? And keep on watching this video. All right, again, essential question, how does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? We're going to figure that out. A couple more answers to that question, hopefully by the end of this lesson, all right? Here is your Common Core State Standard, same idea as last time. We're going to find the area of right triangles, other triangles, special quadrilaterals, and polygons, and we'll get into more of that stuff later on, but just right now, parallelograms, and then in this video, triangles. Okay, there's some math practices we're going to be taking care of. And what are we going to do in this video? We're going to find the area of a triangle, and we're also going to find the missing dimension, the missing side, the missing height of that triangle when we are given the area. All right. Congruent. You need to know what that is. Congruency just means that it is the exact same. They are equal. You could have two triangles that are congruent, and it means that they are the same. They have the same sides, they have the same angles, they have the same height, dimensions, everything like that. Okay. And here's what we got. Here's what we got going on today in this video. Okay. Area of a triangle. Okay. The area of a triangle gonna look something like this over here. Notice you still have a base. You still have a base. It's what that triangle sits on. And you also have a height. You're going to notice that these dotted lines look pretty familiar. Again, going back to if you go to the doctors, they make sure they tell you to stand up straight when they take your height to figure out how tall you are. Okay, and keep on your records, because if you are tilted back or if you're diagonal, they're not going to be able to get your true height. Okay, they need you to stand straight up and down. That's why we use this diagonal straight up and down line and not the diagonal lines in the triangle for your height. Okay, so the formula we're going to be using for triangles, it's a little bit different than parallelograms. You're going to notice there are actually two. You can use either one. We prefer that you use this one. Not going to be mad if you use this one. You will not get incorrect answers with this first one, but we just prefer that you use this one instead. So all of the examples that I'm going to be doing, I will be using this formula. Area is equal to base times height divided by 2. Notice that's pretty similar to the parallelogram that we just did. The parallelogram formula was area equals base times height. For a triangle, we just cut that amount in half. Okay, we just cut that amount in half. The reason that we cut that in half is if you look at this parallelogram, I know it's not perfectly drawn. If you look at this parallelogram and I chop this in half and I cut it diagonally, it's not going to be the straightest line in the world, but it'll work. Okay. What do you notice? What two shapes does that make after I do that? Hopefully you're thinking, well, I have one triangle here and I have another triangle here. Okay. The area of a triangle is just half of the area of a parallelogram. All right. That's why it's divided by 2 here. Let's try a couple examples. Hopefully you're thinking, okay, this looks pretty similar to what we just did in the parallelograms, okay? You need to count these blocks when they don't give you what the numbers are, when they don't give you the dimensions. Just count, and you'll be able to figure out what each of those are. So again, I'm going to be using area equals base times height divided by 2. They're doing area equals 1/2 times base times height. I'm going to go ahead just on the right side here and show you how we want you to use it. So area is equal to base times height divided by 2. All right. So we need to figure out what our base and our height are. Well, we just have to count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My base is 6. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in there into my equation. So I'll plug in 6. I know it doesn't look very different between a B and a 6. And my height, again, just count up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4. My height is 4. Notice that we are not using that diagonal. Don't use that diagonal line, okay? Don't use that. And we just divide that by 2, okay? Figure out your multiplication first. Area is equal to, what is 6 times 4? Hopefully you're thinking 24. And then when you do 24 divided by 2, or when you cut 24 in half, you should get 12. Okay. Now, your units are still the same. Okay. If we are finding area, it has to be units squared. I just used the U for short, but it should be units squared. Let's see if that's what they get as well. Yes, they do. They get 12 units squared. Okay. Again, using the formula area equals base times height divided by 2 every single time. Let's work through this one together, okay? You're going to hear me repeat this formula about 15,000 times during this video. Area equals base times height divided by 2. All right, we got to figure out what the base is. We got to figure out what the height is. Remember, the base is the one that it sits on, okay? This is going to be your base. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your base in this case is 5. Let's plug that in our formula. So for the B, we're just going to plug in 5. Let's figure out what the height is so I can plug in that for H. Remember, height's going straight up and down. We do not want this one. That's diagonal. Remember, we got to be straight up and down. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 all the way up there. And again, dividing this by 2. Dividing this by 2. Okay. All right, my new problem. Area equals 5 times 8 divided by 2. Let's multiply first. 5 times 8 is equal to 40. And then still need to take care of that divided by 2. 40 divided by 2, or 40 cut in half, is 20. Again, units squared for area. Units squared for area. Very good. Is that right? Yes, it is. Cool. Moving on to the next one. Again, still finding the area of this triangle. Hopefully you're looking at this and saying, what? That does not look like a triangle. Technically, we do have a triangle in this little shaded in part. But they are just using these dotted lines to tell you that if we were to move these dotted lines right in the middle of my triangle, that this 8 would be the height. So from the bottom, or technically in this case because it's flipped upside down, from the top to the bottom, straight up and down, this is my actual height, is 8. Okay, remember, we are not using the diagonal. We're not using the diagonals. I want to use this one going straight up and down. Okay, so this looks kind of funky, but we're going to use this as your height. So again, here's the formula. Area is equal to base times height divided by 2. Every single time for triangles, use this formula. Use this formula. Okay. Let's plug in what we know. Your base is what it sits on, except in this case, it doesn't really sit on anything. So we're going to use the side that it gives us up here, which is 16. We talked about our height. The height is the one that goes straight up and down, or with our dotted lines over here. That is 8. And then we are going to divide all of that by 2. Okay, let's take care of our multiplication on top first. 16 times 8. Uh-oh. Testing my math skills here. I have not done, we normally do multiplication like this every single day. And I can knock it out in my head really quick, but now I got to actually use my brain. Let's see. 16 times 8, we got 80, and then we got 48. 128. 128. I hope that's right. If it's not, I'm sorry, but I think it's right. Okay. Still dividing all that by 2. That means I just have to cut 128 in half, or do 128 divided by 2 by doing some long division. Or I can go ahead and just break this number down a little bit. 128. Let's see what we can do here. Let's use this in expanded form. Let's see if we can take half of all of these numbers. 128, the expanded form. If I have 100 here, I have 1 in the 100s place. I have 2 in the 10s place, so that means I have 20. And then I have 8 in the 1s place, so that means I have 8. I just need to take half of all these, and I'll figure out what I got here. Half of 100 is 50. Half of 20 is 10. Half of 8 is 4. If I just add all those things up, I should get half of 128. That is 64. My answer in this case, 64. They do give us units in this case. It is centimeters, notice. So I can actually use centimeters this time. We are finding the area, so make sure you put squared. Let's see if we were right. Yes, we were. Very good. All right, let's talk about what happens when they give us the area, but now they want us to find the missing dimension. Maybe they want us to find the base of the triangle, or maybe they want us to find the height of the triangle. Okay, so we're no longer going to find the area. We're going to find the base or the height, whatever one is missing. In this little triangle, our example here, it looks like the base is missing. So we're going to be finding out, okay, if the area is 24 centimeters squared and my height is 6 centimeters, how many centimeters is my base? Hopefully some of you are already thinking in your head, well, I think I can figure this out. Same idea as the parallelogram. We're just going to work backwards a little bit, okay? This will just walk you through it here, and then we'll do one together here in just a second. So, again, using the formula, area equals base times height divided by 2. We are plugging in what we know. Okay, you're going to notice when I hit the next step for it to reveal itself, you're going to see that they are replacing area with 24. They are replacing the height with 6. Okay, they're replacing h with 6. Let's see if that's what it looks like. And yes, it does. Okay, notice that the area now became 24. The base, remember, we still don't know. I'm solving for my base still. Okay, I got to figure out what that is. That's why that b is still there. We don't know what it is yet. Multiplying it by 6, that's the height. That's what we figured out. That's what the problem tells us, and we're still dividing it by 2. All right, two-step problem here. Two-step problem. We have to get that variable all by itself, which means I need to get rid of my multiply by 6, and I need to get rid of my divide by 2. All right? Walking you through this here, just talking you through this, and I'll show you an example after this, but we are going to get rid of this divided by 2 first. To get rid of something, I need to do the opposite of it. So the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2, and here's what this looks like. We are going to multiply both sides by 2. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay? Remember, your 2's are going to cancel each other out. 2 divided by 2 is just equal to 1. Okay? Remember, those cancel each other out. And then I have 24 divided by 2 on this side. Let's see what we get. 24 times 2 is 48. And now, since my 2's are gone, because they cancel each other out, I am just left with b times 6. B times 6. And this is actually what your problems look like for the parallelograms now. Okay, still have to get my b all by itself. So that means I have to get rid of my multiply by 6. Hopefully you're thinking, well, how do I get rid of multiplying by 6? I just do the opposite. Okay, the opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. That's what they're showing right here. Okay. When you divide by 6 on both sides, remember these 6's will cancel each other out. 6 divided by 6 is just 1. Okay, and 1b and just b are the exact same thing. Whatever you do to one side, please do to the next. 48 divided by 6 on that left side. Okay, and when we divide each side by 6, those 6's are going to cancel each other out, so I'll be left with just b on this side, which is exactly what I wanted. And then I have to do 48 divided by 6. That's equal to 8. Okay, and you end up getting your base is 8 centimeters. Kind of a lot to take in just verbally, so let's work through one so I can actually show you what the heck I'm talking about here, okay? All right. It says find the height. Find the height. My missing dimension is my height. Okay, I need to figure that out. You know I'm going to be using this formula. At least you better know I'm going to be using this formula because we've been using it this entire time. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Let's plug in what we know. What does the problem tell me that I have? Well, my problem says I have area equals 6. Let's plug in 6 for the area. I do have my base. My base is 3. Okay, it's not really sitting on anything, so we'll use the side that it gives us. So let's plug in 3 for the base. Not going to do anything with this h, because remember, I don't know what my h is. It's my question mark. I got to figure that out. Okay, so let's keep h how it is, and we'll divide by 2 still. All right, my main goal is to get this h all by itself. That's going to let me solve for h, okay, and that's what I want to do. I want to figure out the height in this problem. First things first, we got to get rid of this divide by 2. To do that, I'm going to multiply this whole side by 2. The opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. Whatever I do to one side of the problem, I have to do to the other. Okay. This is where it possibly can get a little confusing for you, but we're canceling these 2's out. Remember, 2 divided by 2 is just 1. They cancel each other out. So now I'm just left with 3h, 3 times h. My 2's went away because they cancel each other out. I got to simplify a little bit on this side. 2 times 6, that equals 12. Okay. And now I have a one-step equation that I can solve pretty easily because it's the same exact thing as a parallelogram, just like we did in the first video. Still, got to get this h all by itself. Notice I have a multiplication sign. I have a 3 still on this side. What's the opposite of multiplying by 3? Well, it's dividing by 3. Algebra's golden rule, whatever you do to one side, please do to the next. Okay. Your 3's, 3 divided by 3 is just equal to 1, so they're going to cancel each other out. And 12 divided by 3 to get your answer is 4. Okay. And that 4 needs some units. Remember, we are finding the height, so it's just going to be inches. I don't need inches squared because I'm not finding the area. 4 inches for that one. Let's see if we got it right. And we did. And we did. Okay. All right. That's area of triangles. Okay. How did what you learned today help you answer the question? How does measurement help you solve problems in everyday life? Hopefully these were a couple answers you could have came up with. By using measurements of a triangle, you can find the area of triangular shaped objects. And we can also find missing dimensions when we are given the area. Okay. Your next step is to take care of the 2 worksheets. Okay, those are the 2 practice worksheets for parallelograms and for triangles. All right, there's only a couple problems on each, I think 3 or 4. Take care of those. Check the answers on Wednesday. If you have any questions before Wednesday, please contact me. I can help you out. Okay, I can either draw it up for you and post a picture of it, or we can chat on Zoom, or we can figure it out. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. email me, leave a comment in the discussion board that I'm going to post, and we'll kind of work through this, okay? Keep working hard. I appreciate what you guys are doing. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know, okay? I hope you guys have a good week. And I will be talking to you on Wednesday and Thursday. Those are my conference hours. 8 to 9 on Wednesday, 11 to 12 on Thursday, all right? Thanks, guys.